Hey folks, it's Tom, your Frugal Prepper. For those who haven't seen my videos before, I'm currently in the process of recovering from a stroke. It's been about 5 weeks or so, and I don't drive, so I'm down here reloading some 380, and I got my mom to take me to the range for about a half hour the other day. Let me go in and shoot for about a half hour, and I got to shoot my 380 and test out the load that I like with my Western bullets, which I have a whole bunch of, and I got the perfect powder load and everything that fires really well. So I'm gonna load some more of those just to practice and train with. And I took some different 357 loads, and I took a box of 158 grain loaded with 7.2 grains of accurate number 2, which is the absolute max load. I mean, I brought those right up with the Trigger, loaded them up to the max load. They were a ton of fun. They put out a big fireball, but it broke the crane on the gun. When I brought it home and was cleaning it, it fell off, and I looked, and the crane's actually cracked and broken inside. So it's back to Taurus right now, getting repaired for the third time. Maybe those were a little too hot, but they technically fall within the SAMI specs. But you know, I'll load them with 7.0 grains from now on. But I have another gun out that I want to talk about today. This belonged to my father-in-law. Whose initials were JRF. He put his initials on it. You know, some people do those things. But this is a CZ-52. Let me remove the magazine and make sure it's not loaded. It's not. I do not keep one in the chamber on this gun because they have a decocker. But first of all, that decocker hurts your hand. When you hit this, ow, it comes back and smacks your thumb like crazy. And number two, they have a tendency once in a while to go off when you decock them. That decocker doesn't work so well. So I never keep one chambered in it unless I'm actually ready to fire it. But this takes a 7.62 by 25. And these are just some generic ones in here. I believe these are a milsurp round here. I have some PPUs, but I have some of the hot loaded Chinese rounds from back in the day that were hot loaded for machine guns that will fire out of this. And I mean, they're probably pushing every bit of 17 or 1800 feet per second. Normal rounds in this, your PPUs and stuff, get 1300 feet per second. But even the normal rounds, there's something about this bullet, 7.62 by 25, full metal jacket, that just finds a way to slip through body armor. Definitely level 2, but it'll do some level 3A stuff too. Especially a couple hits right in the same place will go through body armor. And I think that's interesting. I mean, I inherited the gun. I probably wouldn't buy one for that reason, but it's interesting that it does. But I thought I'd just go over this gun a little bit and show it to y'all while I'm down here in the basement. Alright, so this is the CZ-52 chambered in 7.62 by 25 Tokarev. This was designed by the Czechs. It was originally designed as 9mm, but then they had to change over to the 7.62 by 25 because the Russians said, you know what, you can build your own gun, but you're using our ammunition. So they had to rechamber it. And 7.62 by 25, there are some of these that were rechambered into 9mm, converted into 9mm. If you can find a 9mm barrel and drop it in, it will work with these magazines. You can load 9mm in it and it will run and fire them. But there were a few that came into the country, but we haven't seen any lately. So those are really hard to come by, the ones that are 9mm. It has some markings on it. Some Cal ST A1B VT X53 VOZ81. I don't know what all those markings mean. It has, I think, the serial number down here. You know, it's all that. The Bakelite grip is really nice on this side. On this side, somebody's gone after it with an engraving gun or something and tried to engrave it and engrave their name up here. In fact, I think that's the same name. My father-in-law probably did that. But, you know, it's part of the gun's history. I'm just going to leave it at this point. But its bluing is really nice. It's well blued. Doesn't have any rust on it. It's in a real nice shape. I keep it really well oiled. I keep it oiled internally. Keep it rubbed down with some oil just to keep it nice, because it's a part of history. Not a gun that I would carry. It's way too heavy. You can't safely chamber around and decock it. We'll make sure it's empty here. Yes, it is. And then you can decock it so you have fire safe, right, which will stop you from being able to pull the trigger, and you have to push this up. Ow. And it comes back and it hits your thumb. It hurts. Like, that decocker feels chintzy as all get out. I would not trust that decocker for anything. I would not use the decocker if I had a round chambered. I would unchamber the round, yeah, and not touch the trigger. You know, it is what it is. But you can lock the slide open on this by pushing up on this. So if you want to lock the slide open, oh, come on, there, okay. There, it's kind of a pain. Like I said, my hand strength isn't as good as it used to be because I had a stroke. It probably would be easier normally, but you can lock the slide open that way, just by pushing up on that little lever, and let the slide drop. To basically take the slide off, you'll notice that the barrel does not tilt on this. This has a roller locking barrel, kind of a unique design. There's been a few other SIGs and stuff that use this design, but not many. But you pull down on these two tabs right here. You pull back on the slide just a little, pull down on those, let the slide forward, comes up and off. You got all your parts here and your trigger and everything. I mean, this looks really well made, but it just that there feels chintzy. It really kicks back and hurts your thumb when you use the decocker and such. So I don't really like that. Now the barrel has this roller locking system, so these two rollers go in, it locks up, it can fire right there, and then the two rollers will come back and it will slide back and go forward. And we'll go ahead and remove this barrel. For this, you use the magazine, you stick it in this little slot right here, you pull it back to there, and that takes it out. You have your recoil spring, which is a really stiff guy, and your two rollers right here. Your round goes back in here. It's like that. You know, your firing pin is in there. So that's basically how that works. It doesn't look like this gun's been shot a tremendous amount. I mean, I know I've shot a couple hundred rounds through it, but it doesn't look like it was ever shot that much. To put it back in, I just kind of push it up a little like that. Grab it with the edge of the magazine here. Oh, come on. And stick it back down in there like that, But that's the way that you do that. I've seen people use punches and stuff, but you really just use the magazine. And I guess, you know, if you didn't want to ruin the magazine or scratch it or whatever, you might not do that. I don't know. But I use the magazine to take that out, to clean it and stuff. But that's basically how that works. Okay, so yeah, to put this slide back on, You just have to put her up here like so. You know, she won't quite line up, and you just push down and rack it back. Oh. And she's back on. It's that simple. It seems like there's not much holding that slide on, but it doesn't seem to come off. In the case, it has this little cleaning rod with one little patch thing in it to clean it with. It came with an extra magazine, which is, that bullet's turning a little green on the end. Probably need to take this guy out and shoot some bullets up in it eventually. And yeah, it's just got a nice leather pouch made in Czechoslovakia. As far as the ammo goes, this is the really hot Chinese ammo from looking at the markings on the back of it. That was designed for machine guns, and it's got a little dimple in the crimp right there. You know, that's another sign. And these are moving. I don't have a chronograph, so I don't know how fast, but they're moving fast. These would be, you know, able to go through level 3A body armor, I am sure. These are a different surplus ammo round. I don't know exactly where they are from, but you know, they're 7.62 by 25. I have a crap ton of both of those. This is some Wolf ammo, 7.62 by 25s. You know, they're fine. These seem a little hotter than the PPU modern ammo do, both of them. These are a little hotter. These are a little less hot, but they're both hotter than these. But even these are known for going through some body armor with a few shots. And even though they're hollow points. So, you know, definitely is a gun you wouldn't want to get shot with if you're wearing body armor. Sometimes they will stop the first shot, level 3A, but a second and third shot in the same place usually goes right through. Just one of those few handguns that do that. I guess it's just the right way of the bullets and how fast they're going and the way they're shaped. You know, they're not the most powerful bullet out there. I mean, you know, but they have a tendency to slip through the armor. Kind of interesting. You know, I just take it out and shoot it once in a while and clean it and put it back. Is all I do. You know, I inherited it. It's a neat old gun. It's something pretty cool to have to hand down to my children. But I don't trust this decocker at all. Make sure it's unloaded. Yes. And it has a pretty crappy trigger. I mean, it has a really hard hammer there and a pretty crappy trigger. That's gotta be 11 or 12 pounds. I mean, it's a pretty heavy trigger. It's smooth. It's not gritty or grimy, but it's heavy. And it is a single action only. So it's not double action on the first shot, but it has a decocker, which is kind of weird. But they designed this gun, and they had a single double action one, a 9mm originally, I think, and then they had to convert it to 7.62 by 25, and they made it single action only, but they left the decocker on it. It's just kind of this conglomeration that they made and used and carried, but not a particularly great gun. You know, fun to shoot, but not a particularly great gun. But that's it. All right, folks. I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, your Frugal Prepper.